4 Walmart employees in Utah fired after they took down an alleged shoplifter who, by the way, had a gun. Now, this is how the situation unfolded. Trent Longton was seen stuffing a netbook computer under his clothes in the electronics department. Now, employees approached him as he headed toward the front of the store. When they got him into the loss prevention office, the situation takes a terrifying turn. Longton pulls out the computer and a loaded handgun and points it at one of the employees.
He looked right at me and said, "The gun is cocked. Come on, guys, just let me go. I don't want to do this. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Don't make me do this.
Don't make me do this." I reached up and grabbed his wrist and his shoulder and spun him around.
I was thinking, whose house am I going to tonight to tell their family that their loved one was shot? And you have to make a decision. Do I fight for my life, or do I stand here and watch?
Now, you think that they'd be applauded for disarming and restraining the man until police arrived. Instead, all 4 were fired for violating the company's policy on shoplifters. Here's the official statement from Walmart. "We appreciate the intentions demonstrated by our associates in this situation, but the actions taken put their safety and potentially the safety of our customers and other associates in jeopardy. In their roles within the store, they were aware of our expectations regarding safety, and unfortunately, their actions have led to them no longer working for the company." How about that, huh? Joining me now, 2 of those hero employees who were fired, Lori Paulson and Sean Ray. Lori and Paul, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm glad you're joining us tonight, and things didn't go terribly, terribly wrong like they could have. Here's the way I see the story, Lori and Gabe. I know how these policies are written, because I was one of these labor lawyers in a law firm, in an office, right? Nice and safe with my desk, writing something that's going to, perhaps protect the company and make everybody safe and la. This is how it's all going to work out nice and dandy. When someone points a gun at you and cocks that gun, the only people who know how to respond to that are the people in that situation, and that are you, Lori and Gabe. Gabe, tell me what happened. This gun was in your back?
Yes. When he came at me, my back was to the door, and he pushed up against Sean and Justin and me, so I became pretty much trapped in there. And when he pushed through, I had turned around, and he had the gun to my back.
Lori, as I think about that scene, and I couldn't imagine, I've never been in a situation like that. And I'll tell you what, the lawyer in that office who wrote this policy has never been in a situation like that either. What's going through your mind, Lori?
The first thought was, whose house am I going to go to? Somebody's going to end up getting shot, and as the manager over asset protection, it's my job to possibly go and notify their loved ones that they were injured while at work.
It seems to me, and this policy is for shoplifters, okay? Shoplifters don't carry loaded guns, okay? That's not shoplifting anymore. You're talking about armed robbery at this point. You're talking about aggravated assault. You could be talking about attempted murder, and if he pulls that trigger, we'll be talking about a murder case here. So I hate the way they try to gauge this as a shoplifting incident, because it's not. It's the furthest thing from a shoplifting incident. Gabriel, there's four of you take this guy down, and I understand what, they're afraid that if you go after, it's going to escalate the situation. But what did you think was going to happen if you sat back and just let this armed gunman do whatever the armed gunman wanted to do, if you let him dictate this situation?
Unfortunately, I was pretty much just a victim in that scenario. Having certain knowledge of the policy, I felt like my hands were tied and I couldn't do anything. I felt like I was completely at the mercy of this gunman. When he had the gun to my back, the cops were already being called, so I felt like he was in a position to take me as a hostage. In his best interest, even if the cops ended up outside the door, he could have holed up in there and started making demands. It was our only option. I wasn't able to really do anything having him with the gun to me.
Well, luckily your fellow employees. I'm going to take a listen to Sean Ray, who's another one of the employees who was fired here. Take a listen.
when the gun came out, we did throw our hands up, but we were all backed against the door. And when he rushed into us, we just stood there, and he fought his way through us until he got to the door. Once he had the opportunity to leave, all he would have had to do was let go of the gun and open the door. Instead, he turned around and grabbed Gabe by the shoulder and had the gun in his back and continued to make threats. Don't make me do this. I don't want to hurt anybody. But he didn't leave. So at that point, we had followed policy all the way up till there, but we didn't have an option but to protect ourselves and to protect Gabe, and that's when we acted.
I want to take a listen. Here's more of Walmart's shoplifting policy. If the suspect has a weapon or brandishes or threatens use of weapon, all associates must disengage from the situation, withdraw to a safe position, and contact law enforcement. Law enforcement was already on the way. I don't know what else you can do. You're in a room. Law enforcement is coming. Lori, you know that you guys are victims, and I think it's a better situation that you guys took the action that you did. I mean, let's look at the results here, Lori. Nobody was harmed, and a criminal's taken off the streets.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine what would have happened had he gotten out into that vestibule where there were hundreds of customers. I mean, the other outcomes scare me.
It's
I mean,
absolutely
yes, I was scared
scary
at the time.
Yeah,
but the other outcomes are horrifying.